So welcome everyone to this episode of The Journey. I've got Mide here. He's a founder of SetPlay, and I'm so excited for him to talk to you. He's got loads of advice, and he's actually done a lot in such a short time as well. But I'll let him say that. Before we get into the conversation, remember to like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into it. So welcome, Mide.
Glad to be here.
No, I'm really glad to have you here. So I guess to kick it off here, let's actually talk about what SetPlay is and what you do.
Perfect. So SetPlay is a marketplace for football and esports events. When I say events, anything from a casual kickabout to a full-blown tournament. Essentially, our goal is just to unify players of all levels around the world in competition.
And I guess to like build context around like why you're even doing this, like what's the market size, like what's the opportunity that you saw?
Mate, so I guess even just from the ground sort of level, thought the idea in 2015, 2016, essentially just from being in a WhatsApp group with 5 or 6 of my mates and just finding that task of just organizing a game, booking a pitch, paying for the pitch, and arriving there, just headache. I think at the time, obviously, there was WhatsApp on a more professional level, and sports club would probably be using email, and probably email at that time. And I just realized that there was a huge opportunity just to create an app that would simplify that whole process. Talking market size, I think it's 2.1 billion players who like casually play football. I think half the population of males, teenagers, they play football on a weekly basis. So there's definitely a huge opportunity to tap in, not only with casual players, but with like sports clubs, schools, unis, colleges, workplaces, everyone who just likes to get together and play football. We're here to provide that sort of solution, just creating that game.
Something I really wanted to, I guess, establish is like where are you right now? We'll definitely talk about how you started, but in terms of what you're doing right now, like for example, customer attraction, events that you do in partnerships, like what does the scene look like right now?
I mean, the scene's really blown up. When we first started, I think that was like the early birth of like, for example, like the YouTube football scene. That was like the really early stages. So we was coming up at a time when we were doing our activations and doing our marketing activations, we were able to onboard these sort of YouTube teams and help us grow not only our profile but their profile as well. I think brands had really started to tap into the football space as well, and just really seeing, because with SetPlay we are more than an app. We are really about the culture. I hate that word, but we're really about the culture of everything, just in the music, entertainment, all of that. So for us, we wanted to build a whole lifestyle around SetPlay, and the best way for us to do that was to incorporate brands who are within our lifestyle, and YouTube teams who just wanted to sort of blow their own profiles up as well. So past events, the SetPlay Cup, we had that in 2019 in partnership with Crep Protect. The idea was to just mimic almost the tournaments and the events that happen in America. So in America, you always see like the NBA All-Star Weekender, you always see all these pop-up sort of events, but we don't really have that in the UK. The goal is to sort of make more of those events. I think the only event that we had similar to that was Midnight Madness, and that was for basketball back in the day. But since then, we haven't really had like a focal event that happens every single year. And that was a great event. Crep Protect got involved, Kreme got involved. And most recently, we had the SetPlay Esports Cup last year, where Krispy Kreme Doughnuts got involved as well. So,
Yeah, so that's something that's actually really important, which we'll talk about in terms of getting partnerships. But something I'm having more of a conversation with more founders right now is the idea of like community building. And the thing about like an app now, we live in an age, anyone can make an app, and anyone can make, a system that makes events easier to book or stuff like that. But the actual thing or differentiator or defensibility, whatever you want to call it, is the community. Community building is becoming so much more of a crucial part of everyone's business. So when you mention lifestyle and creating that community, like how are you finding that process of trying to cultivate this?
I mean, the beauty of SetPlay means that we give the power to the organizer. So the organizer can ultimately create their own communities within the app. And if you look at SetPlay, we are the tech that provides, we're like, the tech is the vessel to ultimately us create our own communities and Yeah, it could be anywhere in the world. It could literally be anywhere in the world. It could be within your own religious groups. It could be within your own neighborhoods. It could be, yeah, that's essentially for us is the goal to give the power to the organizer, and essentially they can create their own communities within the app. So it lessens our workload and just empowers the people in the nation pretty much.
Okay, then great. Then I guess you're a community enabler, right? And
Yeah.
I think the funny thing is like a lot of apps that weren't initially created for communities, people have had to like shoehorn it into becoming that, but you're actually designing it specifically to do that. So I think there's a big opportunity there. And I guess in terms of the partnerships right now, because I'm sure a lot of people start their businesses hard enough to sell to customers, but some of them are trying to reach into these big brands. So how was that process for you?
It's crazy because when I look back on it, I don't know how we did half the stuff that we did because we're very much a baby still. Everything that we did back in the day was based off an MVP, but I feel like the brands saw our vision and they saw exactly what we were trying to do. I guess for some brands, they just wanted to be in on it early whilst we were still a baby so that they could be a part of the whole journey. I mean, for example, we were working with SBTV, which was good for us as well because ultimately we are a lifestyle brand, as mentioned before, but SBTV wanted to expand and go into the sports space. So it's a natural sort of partnership there. Crep Protect, again, when we linked up with them, they said to us that they actually had the idea of doing a football tournament 2 years prior to us meeting with them. So for us to come in and provide the tech that will actually organize the event and all the organization basically was all enough. So they didn't really have to do much of that. So it was win-win for them pretty much. Just getting partners involved, I would say you just have to find the best way to sort of portray your vision. And once you're able to do that, then it's an easy sell pretty much.
Yeah, and it kind of sounds to me like you're also kind of making noise in the right place. So there's a bit of a marketing point here, like so when you did start, obviously you were doing stuff to even get in people's faces. What were you doing?
Yeah, again, that's right. Yeah, it's a weird one because we obviously we had the MVP. So our MVP initially only allowed us to organize events. So we didn't really give the power to the organizers just yet. Mm-hmm. We just wanted to create staple events where we can test out certain functionalities and also use them as sort of PR marketing exercises. If we're looking at the lead up, so I guess SBTV was a big help for us because we was able to make connections with certain music artists and all that sort of stuff. Once we were able to do that, with those relationships, we was able to go to Crep Protect and say, look, we've got certain relationships already, this is what we're trying to do, can you help us do it pretty much? And then that added, once we completed the SetPlay Cup, then that was more credibility that we could take to another sort of partner, say, look, we worked at SBTV, we worked with Crep Protect, this is what we want to do, and then just kept going like a snowball effect, essentially.
Yeah, so I guess you kind of built momentum off that initial leverage you had with SBTV.
Definitely.
So I guess that's like a big point, like target on just one thing that's going to give you leverage with a couple target companies. And I guess after that first one, it's kind of like fundraising, which you might talk about after. Like, it's really hard to start, but then once you start, like things just kind of start rolling, and then
100%.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And something that I really love talking about more, and I guess like the best analogy is when I'm talking to my mentees, like everyone always immediately focuses on marketing, right? You know, I've got to get out here and I've got to do that. And I always give the example of imagining your business is a house, right? And the marketing is saying, come over to my house. But if your house is messy, if the doors,
in the house.
It's all about the experience with the house. And oftentimes people neglect operations. Next strategy in terms of like, how's the house even meant to look? How are we going to get there and stuff like that? So how has that process been for you, like structuring all of that?
Yeah, no, it's been hard. I won't lie, it's been hard because I guess we got the initial investment, but as with any investment, it runs out eventually if you don't keep raising investment, sort of thing. So, I mean, on the operational side, I think I've been pretty lucky because I've got good people in my life or who have been able to sort of help me out in different areas with the business as a whole. So my co-founder is a graphic designer by trade, so naturally was able to put a prototype, and then was able to get the investment off the prototype. I media guys and marketing guys. These people I've known all my whole life. They've been on the journey for like the past 4 years. So whenever we needed to do sort of any media work, I've always had a cameraman there to help me on that side. Getting people involved with the actual event planning and event planners and social media people. Again, that's just friends of friends pretty much who see the vision, they want to be a part of it, and they've been able to help. So naturally I've built a team of people who I've kind of known for a while. And I know that there's a saying, I don't do business with your friends, but I guess you're just the right friends that you need to be doing. It has to be the right friends pretty much. And more recently I was able to onboard a CTO. So that adds more structure in terms of like the development and technology side. So we were able to sort of move forward on that side. Advisors, I've got some advisors now on board, so that helps a lot. So when I'm feeling run down or if I'm running out of ideas, I can just go to my advisors and then they can pick me up or they can give me some advice. So yeah, it's building brick by brick, it's building. But initially I was just able to get some people in different areas who I knew specialized in these areas as well, who was able to sort of help with the vision.
You know what, that's like, it's such a funny thing, because obviously operations is actually really knowing about what strengths you need, what capabilities, whatever you want to call it, and then finding the right resources for that. So you've obviously looked at kind of maybe weak areas is the wrong word, but you've looked at areas where you're like, someone else can definitely do this better than me.
100%.
You've built that around. So, but oftentimes a lot of people just kind of do everything by themselves.
Yeah.
How have you found really bringing other people on board and trusting them to do everything to the value that you had in your mind in the first place?
Yeah, I'm picky. Like even the people that I've mentioned, like I wouldn't have picked them if I didn't trust them at all. I wouldn't even entertain that idea. Like for me, I like the saying that you need to bring people. Like I need to be the dumbest person in whatever room I walk, especially when it comes to like SetPlay sort of thing. So I need people who are smarter than me to be a part of this company sort of thing. I need people who've had like years of experience and doing something for them to be a part of this company sort of thing. Just how I know that I can trust you with the brand almost. I don't have to be in all the rooms pretty much. I know I can leave you in this room with this person and you will represent SetPlay in the right way sort of thing. So yeah, I would say don't be scared. I feel like people who start a business, they have this thing where they are scared to share the vision with other people. And there's just for different reasons, for example, but yeah, don't be scared to sort of share that vision. You have to be able to bring people in who can elevate the vision, if anything.
Speaking from like a more strategic point of view, right?
Yeah.
How have you gone about that process? Because oftentimes I feel like people miss a trick with the strategy thing in terms of like really thinking where do I want to be, where do I want to take the business as a whole, as opposed to, oh, what am I going to do what's my strategy to make sales? But there's the actual strategy for the business. How has that process been for you?
Yeah, it's just literally mapping out 5-10 years, do a roadmap, and then sort of, I guess not work backwards, but yeah, do the roadmap and then literally just work your way into seeing what is going to get me to this point, and then what's going to get me to that point, and then what's going to get me to this point sort of thing. I would say last year was an interruption to the roadmap because nobody foresaw that we would be in a lockdown for the whole year. So that's where you have to sort of make wiggle room in your roadmap to say, okay, cool, I've got a contingency plan. Because, for example, with SetPlay, we wasn't planning to get into esports for another few years, but we went into lockdown last year, so we had to think of something that would have ultimately make the business survive and keep our names in the mouths of people that we wanted it to be kept in. So doing the esports tournament at the top of in the first lockdown, that was very crucial for us, because it showed us that even with the MVP, we were able to bring together players from Birmingham to London in one tournament over a month. And yeah, just have the roadmap there, do it step by step, but have wiggle room and have a contingency plan for each step that you want to reach.
That's the big thing, because that's the thing about strategy. You can always change. Well, strategies have to be dynamic. Anyone that just has like, that one plan or sticking to it.
Rigid plan. Yeah.
Don't be rigid, but it's just funny because obviously, a lot of people might not have always made that connection to jump into esports. To me, esports was always like, esports is something that's going to be inevitable in my opinion, right? So seeing how the times are moving and just jumping on that immediately was a big move. And that's just the thing about strategy, man. Like, you got to be able to know when to follow the trend as opposed to
Definitely.
Yeah, such a big thing. And before we kind of go onto fundraising, right, let's actually talk about like the beginning where you're like, you know what, I think I want to do this. Like, what was going through your head, and how did you actually like the first week or month or something? What were those initial steps?
Yeah, because I was working full time around those times as well. So a lot of my time, I remember being at work, and obviously I had 2 screens. So like just one screen would be obviously dedicated to work, and then like another screen would be that would be my SetPlay screen. So like I'm still doing the ideas. I'm still like just trying to make everything right, pretty much. Because it took us about a year to fundraise. It took us a year before we got our first offer. So in that year, it was just stress. Like, it was just stressful. But yeah, literally sending out email. The amount of emails I sent every day. Like, I have my copy, I have my template, and then I just do adjust it and then send it out. So yeah. Sorry, I've even forgotten the original question, but it was leading me towards fundraising.
No, let's you know what, let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it, because you know what, obviously, and I say this on virtually every video, yeah, fundraising is so glamorized. It's an ugly thing. It's an ugly thing, man. Like, various redefinitions of your pitch deck.
Yes.
It's like, so on both levels, right? You've got the founder who's fundraising.
Yeah.
But even like the VCs or the people giving it, they fundraise a lot, and they can have like 90 meetings in the space of 3 months and stuff like that. So there's a lot more than meets the eye on both sides as well. But from your experience as a founder, like you just said, like the amount of emails you had to send out, like what are the nitty-gritty things that you had to go through?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Wow, those days. They were fun though. They were gritty. They were so gritty, but I think the fun came in the excitement, knowing that something was coming and just not knowing where it was coming from. So it took a year. Had my 2 screens, and literally had my email, I had my draft email. Then I'd have I think I had my message that I would send on LinkedIn there. Then I had the email that I was ready to send out. I had the email address. We had, I don't know, God knows how many Excel sheets of just loads of data of like numbers and emails and names of VCs and angel investors and everything. Signed up to every angel investing website you could think of, and literally just sending out emails every day. And then again, it took a year, but then we got an offer, initial offer, and this angel investor, he said that he didn't want to take on all the risk. So he said he wanted to find someone. He wanted us to find another investor who will put in 30% risk, while he put in 70% risk. So again, we was like, oh, we're nearly there, but then now we need to find somebody else. So then we're going to start the process again. This time it didn't take as long. Obviously, we really got the first offer on the table. And then that's when we found Tyrone Mings on LinkedIn. And then I just remember he was playing for Bournemouth at the time. So we took a couple of trips down to Bournemouth. That day was just crazy. I remember Jack Wilshere was at Bournemouth as well at the time. And for some reason, I don't know, I believe in the power of manifestation. I really do. Like, it's so strong. Like, for some reason, I kept thinking, I feel like we're going to meet Jack Wilshere. I just like saying to my co-founder, we're going to meet Jack Wilshere. I don't know why, I don't know where. And it just turns out that he dropped off Tyrone at the hotel that we're meeting. And it was like, oh man, this is just so surreal right now. And we've got a business plan now, and we're meeting Premier League footballers. Like, okay. And we sat down and went through the idea with him. And Tyrone, he very smart man, very, very, very smart man, who is keen on business anyway. And he loved the idea. He loved the idea. And then I just remember being on a night out in Shoreditch one day, maybe like a month after we met. We got a phone call from my co-founder saying Tyrone said yes. Wow. Like, what? Dude, like, Tyrone said yes. I'm like, what? Nah, no way. He said yes. But then Tyrone wanted to come on board as a sole investor. He didn't want the other offer. So we had to
Oh,
turn
you
down.
got greedy.
Yeah, we had to turn down the first offer, and we took Tyrone on board. And
Wow.
yeah, literally.
So even that, like, first of all, the way you just glossed over, like, oh yeah, we reached out to Tyrone Mings. Like, why? Why? Why did he even think about doing that? Because often people reach out to people. Like, the funny thing, angel investors are everyone, right? So
Yeah.
unless you kind of know who's an angel investor, unless they actually write it in the LinkedIn, you're never gonna know. So what actually made you decide to reach out to a footballer?
Literally because he was a footballer. Because he was a footballer. Yeah, no, literally because we had the offer. So we had the offer from the angel investor who had his own development company and the tech side and all of that sorted. We just had our sort of reservations about that sort of. We had our reservations about his company to put it frankly, but we said, okay, cool, we've got the tech side sorted. Now we just need a footballer to sort of raise the profile and help us with our marketing and make it a lot easier for us to just get out there in the world of football. And Tyrone was like one of the few footballers at the time. He was on LinkedIn. Yeah, he sort of responded, and yeah. Thank God.
I think like that's such a good lesson in the fundraising. Like, until you get that, just reach out to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, everyone. Like,
literally.
So that's kind of like you raising other people. What were the kind of like technical bits of fundraising? Like, for example, you got your term sheets, you got your equity split, negotiating. Like, what was that like for you?
Yeah, we had to get lawyers involved. So yeah, make sure you have a lawyer while you're fundraising, because you're going to come to a point where you've got the contracts there on the table, and you're not going to be able to understand all the jargon that's on the sheets. So you need a lawyer that's going to be able to break it down for you. We had so many forms that we had to fill, and even that process in itself. So yeah, you get the yes and stuff like that, but then even when it comes to negotiating equity splits and all of that sort of stuff, and just crossing the I's and dotting the I's and crossing the T's, that in itself could be another month. That can take a while. So that in itself was a whole process.
So were you like self-funding until you had closed on your fundraising round?
Yeah, we were self-funding. Well, to be fair, we only had, we was both at work, so we only had the prototype really. So it was just the idea and the prototype, and that's all we had. And that's what we had to sell ultimately.
Yeah, which I think is a lesson for everyone, because obviously these days people will invest on an idea anyway. The funny thing I tell people, and I just wish more people know this, but it's like, the thing doesn't have to be perfect. Like, the MVP could have literally been drawings on a piece of paper and just talking about the idea, and you still could have raised on that as well.
100%. You just have to have your vision. As I say, I keep going to this word vision. You just need to not only have the vision, but believe in it yourself. Because when you believe in your vision, it's easy. When you're selling it, it's easy. It's an easy sell because you're not lying. You're just talking about everything where you see the company being and how passionate you are about the company and your experiences and all that sort of stuff. So, yeah. Yeah,
and I guess ultimately, like, what's the best advice you have right now for anyone going through the journey or just about to start on it?
Best advice I would say is, I've mentioned it earlier, but don't be scared to share your idea. Of course, NDAs are important when you're very early as well. Just get that sorted as well. But I would say don't be scared to share it and trust people to help elevate your vision, because you can't do it all yourself. It's impossible. You'll kill yourself. Like, there's no point. And I will also say, like, it's so cliche, but like, don't quit and don't stop. If you genuinely believe in the idea, like, and it's a passion of yours, don't stop, because you don't know when it's going to take off. You might have a time in your mind where you have your roadmap and your strategy, and even if it doesn't take off when you think it does, it will. So just stick at it.
Great. Thank you for that, man. Honestly, it's been so insightful. I'm always learning. Like, even though I've kind of been consulting for a bit now, I'm still learning. I love talking to people like you. And I just know someone out there is gonna receive just a boost of confidence to just reach out to someone random.
I love that. Yeah, reach out. Don't be scared to reach out. Another bit of advice. Don't be scared to reach out. Spend hours on LinkedIn. Just reach out. Somebody will buy into the idea for sure.
Okay, great. So yeah, thank you so much for this. I had a great time, and yeah, thanks.
No, thank you, bro. Thank you. Appreciate it.